welcome to the Vaughn Cash Show. Today, I got Don with me. How's it going, man?
Hello, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. How's it going?
I'm good. Just been resting this whole break, but everything's been good. Yeah.
Nice, man. So give us a brief description of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a 22-year-old filmmaker. I've been doing it for almost 6 years now, since high school.
Wow.
So yeah, that's mostly what I do, but when I'm not doing that, I'm usually freelancing for myself, but for other companies as well, and then also doing photography on the side.
Awesome, man. Very creative stuff.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, like, visuals are more important now than ever, just because of social media. I don't know if you direct or film music videos, you make a good money.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Everybody wants to make a music video, so that's awesome. Where did you grow up?
So I'm born and raised in Panorama City.
Nice.
Yeah, still in the valley, close to Northridge.
Cool.
Yeah, that's basically where I grew up for 13, 14 years, and then I moved still fairly close to Van Nuys, Northridge area. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I've been here for a while.
Nice. My relatives used to live in Panorama City on Stansbury.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then my other cousins from my other side of the family also lived in Stansbury by Chase Park.
Oh, wow, that's super close. Yeah, that's super close to where I used to live. I used to live on Woodman.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a little different back then. I'd say the area was a bit more rough back then. I don't know how it is now, but back then it was a little more, maybe more cautious, but a lot of fun memories of me going back to Panorama and just driving around. So talk to us about your upbringing. You're Filipino, I take it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm full Filipino.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents are from here.
Okay.
So that's why I don't speak Tagalog, or my parents don't speak Tagalog. Only my grandparents.
Oh, okay.
But I'd still love to learn at like some point.
Do you understand it?
Some, but not a lot. Yeah.
So if TFC was on, you couldn't pick it up?
No, not really. Yeah. It was usually on though, like
Yeah.
at my old house, because I used to live with my grandparents as well. But yeah, I never got to pick it up.
Yes, I mean, I used to know it. I was born in the Philippines, lived there for 7 years, and I moved here when I was 7. And over time, I slowly lost it little by little.
Yeah.
And now, watching TFC, it takes me a minute or maybe 30 seconds to process everything because they speak so fast.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you enjoy school when you went to, elementary, middle school, high school? Were you a school kid or were you more, not really?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I was like for me, I went to St. Genevieve from kindergarten to high school.
Okay.
So that was a really interesting experience for me. I wasn't academically good in middle school or elementary school, but in high school I was really interested in English and writing, just because I had really good teachers in high school.
Yeah.
And that kind of got me into screenwriting for my own films and everything. That's kind of how I picked it up. That's basically. Yeah, that was basically my experience in high school.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Were there any film classes in high school or?
Yeah, there was one. There was one that we had. It was a film production class that was only available for juniors and seniors.
Okay.
So when I was a freshman and sophomore, like I was just waiting to take that class because like I really hated like math and like history and stuff. I was never like good at those subjects.
Yeah.
So I was just really anxious to like do something creative like film production. And I had an amazing teacher, Mr. Chang, who really taught me like how to like make films and everything. And he was actually the one to encourage me to enter my first film festival in high school.
Wow.
And when I entered that and I won for best commercial.
Wow.
That really started like my career basically as a filmmaker, and that's when I kind of knew that like this is what I wanted to do.
That's awesome, man. That's really, it means something when your teachers or professors support you in your creative endeavors outside of academics.
Definitely, yeah.
I can say that Alan, how do you say it, Alan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a supporter of like everyone and just, it means a lot to me. Like, when he said, "Oh, that's great, that's awesome. I listen to your music, blah blah blah. Listen to the podcast."
Yeah,
it
that's
says
super dope.
something. You know, it's like your mentor, your professor, an older, it's an adult, is telling you, hey, you're doing a good job, as opposed to like, yo, you should just stick to just, you know, safe stuff.
Yeah.
So what year did you start doing filmmaking or get into it?
So I started pretty early in 8th grade.
What
So
year
that
was
was 2010.
2010. What was on YouTube at the time that you were watching in 2010?
2010. A lot of Wong Fu Productions,
Wong Fu.
which is crazy because they're like my biggest inspiration. And I guess we'll get into that a little
Right.
later. But that was them, Ryan Higa,
Mhm.
a lot of Asian American people that were making stuff on like YouTube and stuff. That was what kind of inspired me to like just start, because my stepdad, he actually got me my first like flip camera when I was in
Nice.
8th grade, and he was just like, oh, because he's an editor, like
Okay.
he's an editor.
Great.
And he was just like, oh, like I know you like movies and like YouTube content and stuff, like why don't you like make your own stuff? So that was a big part of like how I started as well when I was really young.
Mhm. That's around the time Timmy Delgado came out.
Yeah,
right?
Timothy Delgado, yeah.
Around then, who else? I didn't know Wong Fu at the time, but definitely Timothy Delgado. I think Jin was still making music at the time.
Yeah, a lot of musicians, a lot of like
Mhm.
AJ Raphael, Gabe Bond.
Freaking Dumbfounded.
Which one?
Dumbfounded?
Yeah, Dumbfounded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. Yeah, yeah. That was a big time. I think that's when it was resurging. Like you saw more Asian Americans in media
Mhm.
when, well, in YouTube, because there wasn't so many media.
Yeah.
This question I ask every single Filipino guest. You probably know what I'm going to ask. Did your parents ever like force you to become or not force you, but did they ever encourage or subliminally pressure you go into medical field, i.e., nurse, doctor?
Yeah, so I'm one of those special cases where that's not the case for me. Just because my mom, well, first of all, my mom had me at a really young age when she was 16.
Okay.
And she went to the same high school as me.
St. John's?
Yeah.
It was around that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so she was 16 when she had me. She was going to St. John's, which is a Catholic school, so that was like really crazy for her.
Yeah.
But thankfully, like everyone was like very supportive
Yeah.
and everything. But yeah, so she was a fashion major when she went to
FIDM?
college. Yeah,
Okay.
she went to FIDM.
I don't know.
Yeah, she went to FIDM.
Either FIDM or Otis, right?
Yeah, definitely either of those two. But yeah, she went to FIDM. And then my dad, he went to UCLA for a little bit for business. But they were both, and he was like really into basketball. He played for, I think he played for UCLA for a little bit. But they're both very creative people,
Okay.
and they were very supportive of me when I decided to do film.
Mm.
Because at first, before, like when I first started high school, I didn't think film was what I wanted to do. It was just something that I would do for fun.
Right.
But I never really saw nursing or like nursing or being a lawyer or anything like that as a career for me.
Mhm.
I always wanted to do something creative,
Right.
and I was just thankfully I had the support of my family that I could do something creative.
That's awesome. My mom and dad had me very young too.
Mhm.
My dad was 17, my mom was 20. I don't know how the story goes. Apparently, my dad was going to, what's that school where you become a priest? Seminary?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Apparently, he was going to seminary school. Then he went to college in Baguio. Met my mom, and yeah.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
okay.
It was, yeah, I think something along the lines of, yeah, when my dad and like my uncles were like sweating bullets when they had to go meet my mom's family and
Mhm.
tell them that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can see where you're coming from in that sense.
Yeah.
So you went to college, or you're in college, CSUN.
Mhm.
CSUN your first pick, or did you have other choices?
So, yeah, I had other choices, and I was, like I said, in high school, I was a lot better academically.
Right.
So I got into a lot of colleges
Mm.
that are, I guess, defined better, quote unquote, better than CSUN. But the big thing that drew me to CSUN was their film production program.
Yes.
So it was kind of hard to convince my parents that I was going to go to CSUN, just because like in their generation, I guess, like CSUN was more like looked down upon.
Yeah.
Like not in a bad way, but like it's
Oh,
usually like people's last choice.
Right.
So that was they're kind of iffy, just because I got into a lot of colleges that, like I said, were considered better, but their programs for film were just not great.
Right. The more prestigious, there's that, there's like memes about CSUN being like, oh, I don't even know the memes are, but something along the lines of like, it's for people who, who didn't get into like other state schools or
Yeah.
UCs. But I can say, a lot of people are going to say that the past maybe 10 years, CSUN's been improving a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw this one website where saying like CSUN's like ranked number 3 for like people like schools in sense of, I don't know if it was rated by students or academia, but we have a lot going on.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
the film program here is amazing.
Yeah.
CTVA.
It's top 25 in the country.
Yeah. That, I also know business is a great major
Business,
here.
yeah, kinesiology.
That, liberal studies, Asian American studies.
Yeah, Asian American studies.
Ethnic studies. Yeah, no, we killing it. Let's see. So you came into CSUN. Did you join FOSSA your first semester?
No, so that's a really crazy story, because it's kind of crazy that I was able to do like PCN coordinator and president for FOSSA, but at the very beginning, my freshman year, I kind of resented FOSSA and like kind of just backed away from it.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so for me, like I heard a lot about the Filipino club here when I first came in from high school, and I don't know, I think for me, like it just like joining like a Filipino club at the time just didn't seem like the right move for me, because I was trying to focus on like the film major and everything, and when I went to like meet the clubs and like saw them, like I kind of just tried to avoid them, because like I saw it my first year as kind of like a fraternity or sorority, like which for me personally, like I didn't want to like get into. So that's kind of how I saw FOSSA, because there's so many people, like there's so many people and like there's a lot of members and everything. So it was kind of like from the outside it looked very like cliquey, and like a lot of like people like really make me like anxious. So it was just like I just wasn't feeling it. And then I gave it a try my sophomore year, and I started going more and more, and I realized that it was a really great community for me. I've never like been to like meetings or anything where there's so many like Filipinos in one spot. So it was really dope to like just network and like meet new people, meet my friends. Like all my friends now are like from FOSSA. So it's really crazy how it worked out.
Can I tell you my FOSSA story?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm a little older. I came in 2006, so this was way before like, the people here were there. I'm from the Bay Area, and I remember like this woman or this student, I was a student at the time. She passed out a flyer, hey, come to FOSSA and everything. She's kind of cute too. I know they're doing. And then they're smart. And I went in the meeting. It was at I think it was Redwood Hall. And I bought some Subway, and I was like, oh, cool, this would be fun, you know, because I never really, where I grew up, there wasn't too many Filipinos. So I said, oh, this is cool, a Filipino club. I went there, very cliquey. I didn't feel very welcome. Now, that was just my experience, and I was like, okay, not for me. I walked out halfway through the meeting, no one said anything. And that was my stance on FOSSA for a very long time.
Yeah.
But that was a while back, and when I got in Asian American Studies and I got to meet more people in FOSSA, I'm like, damn, this is a great club. It's a great opportunity. It's a great place to kind of, keep your tradition and just network.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was my thing. I mean, I was in a fraternity at the time, so like I was partying and all that stuff too. But yeah, I totally can identify what you're saying. How it looked cliquey to me, it felt cliquey.
Yeah.
But that's good that you found like a camaraderie in FOSSA later on. And
Yeah.
I know for a fact that FOSSA's changed a lot than
Yeah.
10
It's
plus years ago.
super, super, super different.
Yeah.
But I also know a lot of people that at first when they came into FOSTA, they're like, oh, maybe this isn't for me.
Right.
And then like a year later, like us, like they understand like that it's different and that like the people that are currently in the club kind of make the club. So like
Right.
it's always very different like yearly. Like it's always a different experience.
Dude, I didn't realize how many of my Filipino friends are in FOSTA.
Yeah.
The people I've interviewed on this podcast, a good amount of them had some, like a good amount of Filipinos were part of FOSTA or are part of FOSTA.
Yeah, definitely.
Gio, Zuko,
Mhm.
Charlene,
Charlene, yeah, I saw that.
Tiffany, Jackie,
Mhm.
you. Yeah, no, it's like all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And it's such a big club. And we spoke about it with Charlene's podcast, but we can go, I want to hear from your perspective. How did you go from, I don't want to really join to like, oh, this is cool to let me be PCN coordinator, let me be a president.
Yeah.
Got us through that.
Yeah, so I was a general member for 3 semesters. And then I took interest in the historian position because I really like making videos. I really like photography.
Right.
So I was like, oh, like if I were ever do like a leadership position, like it'd be good for my resume, it'd be good for my portfolio. Like, I might as well do it.
Yeah.
So I ran for historian twice. So I was historian for a year, from fall 2016 to spring 2017. And from there, when I was done with historian, I was like, well, like, I really love FOSTA now. Like, I really like leadership positions. Like, I really like how the club is right now. And I like hanging out with my friends in FOSTA. Like, what else can I do? And for me, like, traditionally in FOSTA, like, you kind of go up the ladder, like, of positions. Like, you earn it kind of thing. But for me, the only position I could see myself doing after historian was PCN coordinator. And at the time, everyone was like, whoa, that's crazy, because like usually like it's more of an experienced like person that's been in FOSTA for a long time. I've only been in this club, like at that time I was only in the club for a year.
Okay.
And like people barely knew me. But I decided to run for it because my first PCN really affected me, and I wanted to do the same for people that were coming in. So, and for me too, like, as a Filipino American, like, I don't know a lot about like my culture and my identity, and I wanted to take the opportunity to do that with PCN coordinator. So through the dances, through writing the script with Charlene, and all that stuff, like, it really helped me mold me as a person as well and understand more about what it means to be Filipino. And like that was the best experience of my life here in college, like being PCN coordinator, because like when we put on that show, like so many people like went up to me and Charlene telling us that like, like, wow, like your show, like people came up to us like crying, like saying like, wow, like that really like changed my life, like the story and everything and all that stuff.
I can say that I cried too. Like I was like,
did you watch it?
Oh, I was there.
Wow, yeah.
Wait, I saw 2. I
Nandito
saw one.
Go.
I saw with Rex. I kept calling. For the longest time, I kept calling Jason Rex.
Yeah, that was the one before.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the one after that.
Which one was that one about?
So it was the like Noah and Adira, and there was like a split. It was like a split stage. Nandito Go.
I feel like I've seen it. Wait,
Yeah.
so what was the story about? Like.
Yeah. So basically, the rundown of it is there's this boy named Noah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and a girl named Adira. And at first, the first half, it's like a split stage. So there's 2 different stories happening at the same time. And one takes place in America with Noah, and one takes place in the Philippines later in the 80s. And then the other one is more current, like in the 2000s. And basically, it's about this kid who doesn't really know much about himself, and he doesn't. He's never like met his mom or seen his mom, so that's kind of affected his life. And then in the middle, you start to realize, or we reveal that Adira is actually the mom of Noah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah, so it's basically about how people take their like parents for granted sometimes, and like what they do for their children,
Mhm.
and the sacrifices they make in the Philippines and all that stuff. But also about mental health and how
Right.
Filipinos usually don't talk about mental health.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on with the story and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it was really crazy.
Yeah.
to do.
Okay. Rings a bell now. All right. Yeah. So, how did you decide to? Well, so it's you and Charlene that wrote that script.
Yeah. we
How
read
did
it.
y'all decide to come up with that script? Because, mental health, like you said.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how it is now in the Philippines, but back then it was almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Like pray, and hopefully God answers your prayers type of thing. What made you decide to delve into mental health issues for Filipino Americans?
Yeah, so for me, at the time, a lot of PCNs, not to like bag on other PCNs, but a lot of PCNs tackle the same issues, and me and Charlene and I really wanted to tackle something different.
Mm-hmm.
And we felt that the biggest thing that is like never talked about is mental health. And just to get to some backstory on it, on how we made the story, a year prior, I was supposed to, the one that you saw with Rex, with
Mhm.
Jason, I was supposed to apply to write the script for that PCN, but it just fell through. And I was supposed to write with Tiffany, actually, Tiffany Porter.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this idea of doing a split stage like PCN, where like we told two different stories at the same time, and then they merge like in the middle to tell one story. So we had the idea a year prior, and when I had the ability to become PCN coordinator and write the script with Charlene, I told Tiffany, like, is it okay if we use our prior idea for this PCN? So that's kind of how everything shaped itself. Was it kind of worked out because like we used the split stage concept with the mental health like topic,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how it just we kind of just we had a lot of days like at TNT where we just like had our computers out, like just trying to like hash out the outline and everything. So that's kind of how it happened.
Nice. Yeah. What was the reaction? Because I know what's good about PCN is I think it's intergenerational.
Yeah.
Whereas you have people your age, people my age,
Mhm.
and they bring their families,
Yeah.
their moms,
Mhm.
dads, lolas, lolos, their aunts and uncles. Did you get any reception from the older generation? Like,
Yeah. So we were actually kind of nervous
yeah,
and scared to tell a story like that.
right.
Especially because we talked about this a lot, but we have a suicide in the story. So the mom actually, because in the second half, when Noah finally meets his mom, he kind of resents her and doesn't understand why she sacrificed. Basically, she wasn't with Noah because she wanted him to have a better life in America, while she didn't have enough to like afford to come with him.
Right.
So he left with his aunt rather than her
Right.
because she had to stay in the Philippines. So he didn't understand that, and because of that, at the end of our story, the mom overdoses and she dies.
Right.
And we were really, really nervous to
It's
do that. It's a really touchy subject.
I mean, suicide in general for Philip. Suicide isn't good.
Mm.
There's different layers to it if you're Catholic.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, because there's the Catholic belief that if you take your own life, you will stay in hell because
Yeah.
you're taking away what God gave you.
Mhm.
So that must have been tough. I mean, as a scriptwriter, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know if I could do that in front of I like to believe that many of us our age we're pretty progressive,
Yeah.
while as our elders, more on the conservative side.
Mhm.
What made y'all decide, like, hey, let's put this in the script, though?
Yeah, because for me as a storyteller and as a filmmaker, like I try not to set boundaries on myself when it comes to story. So even though we were very like iffy about it and nervous to do a story like this, it was something that needed to be done and a message that needed to be like sent to the community.
Right.
Just because like things like that happen,
Yeah,
and
it's
like
real.
it's real life, and like that's a reflection on the stories that I like to tell.
Right.
It is very raw and very real stories.
Grounded, right.
Yeah, very grounded stories because I don't like to sugarcoat anything with anything.
Right.
I kind of saw PCN coordinator as like being a director
Right.
for a film. It's the same thing. So like we're still telling it's still telling a story.
Right.
It's just like theatrically rather than like on screen.
Right. And
Yeah, go for it.
yeah, and I was gonna say too, it's not like you're doing this out of shock value. It's
Yeah.
not, you're not doing for like viral views, but this is real.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, being an Asian American Studies major and learning about mental health, this kind of stuff is swept under the rug.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
so I commend y'all for having the courage to write that. And the whole thing about finding out later on that your mom, that's a very common thing.
Yeah.
I know I've had instances of like, you know, friends in general where the, you know, situation pretty much goes something like, you know, someone has a kid really young, but then, you know, obviously they're ill-equipped, they're not able to take care of the child, so like maybe the older sister or another relative in the family claims the child as their own, whereas the mom, it's a secret, where like that's like the little sister or like the older sister.
Yeah.
So that's a very common thing. So that's very brave of y'all to tackle that and put that out there because it does happen.
Yeah, thank you. And it worked out because, in the beginning, before we even start the show, we gave just like a small like trigger warning just for like people, just so that they're prepared to like what they're about to see. So I think that kind of like prepared people too, like not just like kind of like just doing it and then they're like, oh wow, like shocked. But even if we didn't, I feel like people really like understood what we were trying to go for, and like that's why it had such good reception, and that made me feel a lot better after doing the show, because like like I said, a lot of people came up to us after, like saying like wow, like crying too, like actually like crying, like
wow.
Even like our cast was telling us like their parents were like crying and like telling them like wow, this is like a really great, like people were even saying like this is one of the best like PCNs I've ever seen, which really made me proud of the production and like what Charlene and I put out.
Yeah, because that's such a deep conversation and topic in general to tackle. Sometimes situations and topics like that is better done by doing like a theatrical piece, and maybe it's an open dialogue as opposed to just talking about it. Because that can be tough, you know, and I can imagine at least, you know, people in the audience, they must know someone in their family or know someone or someone of someone who went through similar situations.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like, wow, like, you know, that should be out put on the table. We should discuss about mental health and whatnot. So what about filmmaking did you gravitate, like, what about filmmaking, you know, do you like? I mean, how did you fall in love with it, or how did it become your passion? Like, were there particular movies you saw that were like, oh, I want to direct a movie like that one day?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the first movies I saw in high school that I really fell in love with was The Shining by Stanley Kubrick. And it's scary, and like a lot of times like current like horror movies, like blockbuster horror movies, they're like kind of corny, and like, but like The Shining, when I saw that like by Stanley Kubrick, that was like a masterpiece to me. Like it's just like, how did he do that like in the 70s, 80s? Like that was just it's a really beautiful film, and like that was one of the first films that I was like, wow, like I want to do something. I'm not like a big like horror person or like thriller person, but like the the cinematography of it and like the editing and like how it's done, like that really like inspired me to like make films. And then like I got into more independent filmmaking, like Spike Jonze, Wes Anderson, stuff. People like that really motivated me to make my own work. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Wow. At a young age, I mean, that's a classic right there.
Yeah.
What you said about horror movies now being kind of corny a little bit, I totally can identify. It seems that a lot of horror movies now, they may rely on like the CGI and graphics a bit much, as opposed to the story. Because oftentimes, from what I've gathered watching scary movies, it's not necessarily scary. Some are, but it's just like it's scary because of CGI or like something pops up. I'm not really a fan of the pop-up stuff. I like the kind of, well, at the same time I don't, but I like the kind of scary movies that like
psychological.
Yeah, when you go to sleep at night thinking that could happen.
Yeah.
Like when The Ring. Did you watch The Ring?
The Ring, yeah.
Oh my god, I was scared, dude. Like, no, watching the Japanese version, The Ringu.
Yeah, the Japanese. Yeah.
That scared me.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I was sleeping on the couch, and the remote was by my back. I moved and the TV turned on. It was like that fuzzy station. I'm like, oh my god.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So from there, you obviously started doing filmmaking. What was your first film that you made?
Yeah. So first film
or like first video, was it a parody video?
Yeah.
Okay.
So well, my first videos like when I was in 8th grade.
Okay.
I was editing on like just iMovie, and like I had just like my like a simple like $20 like flip camera, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna make with this? So like I used to babysit my cousins like at the time, which they were like 8, 9 at the time.
Yeah.
But I would basically make them like do like little skits. Like one that I like really remember for some reason was I dressed them up as like burglars, so like just like all black clothes and like beanies and stuff, and like one like I like set up like a shoe store type thing in my house, and like one like stole like shoes. It was like really simple and stupid, but like
no, that's cool.
Yeah, it was basically just like stuff that like helped me practice like filmmaking. Like as dumb as it is now, like and like looking back at it, like it's cool to look back at it because it's like like that was like the foundation and like how I started. So yeah, it was just like simple home videos basically, like how I started. So it's really cool to look back at.
You're a lot kinder than what I remember. Like my cousins doing with, like video cameras and stuff. Around like when I was a teenager, like 15, 16, 17, Jackass was big.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was big around your age.
A little bit. I used to watch it a lot, yeah.
Dude, they would like, when you're sleeping, they would just bite on you, lotion your face, they hit you, and they would put it on camera. And we were just all so scared to go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get slapped, and like you couldn't go to sleep. And it was just torment.
Yeah.
It was fun, but it was torment, and then the next day, they played in front of everybody, and they were just into that. So that's cool that you found a more less destructive way to express your creativity as opposed to like, hey, watch this, or something. So that's cool. We were talking earlier about Wong Fu and how that's what you looked up to. How did you end up interning or doing work for Wong Fu Productions?
Yeah, so that was a dream come true for me. So, like I mentioned earlier, like I've looked up to Wong Fu since the beginning of my career. Ever since they ever like started, like I've been watching them. So I was a huge fan of them. So they were looking for an intern. I saw on like their social media.
Right.
3 years before I started working for them, and I applied, and the first time, so I applied 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first time I just graduated from high school, and luckily I got a Skype interview with 2 people that were working there at the time, and they interviewed me. They really liked me, and then the last question they asked me was like, "Oh, if you don't mind us asking, like, how old are you?"
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm 18." and they were like shocked. They were like whoa, like oh you're 18. Like I guess they were looking for someone older, and someone who's like about to graduate college rather than
Oh my
just
goodness.
entering college.
Yeah.
But like I told them like oh like it's okay. Like I was still very humbled because they thought like my work like resembled someone like with more experience. So that gave me like hope that like maybe like later down the line like I could work for them. So they kept in contact. They remembered me throughout the year, and then they were looking again for a second time. And I was at this time I was a junior here at CSUN. And it just didn't work out just because of like my scheduling and everything. And then thankfully I applied again this last spring.
Okay.
So I worked for them spring 18. And they're the ones who actually hit me up this time.
Wow.
Because I don't know if you know Benson Quach.
No.
No, he was he's a FOSTA alumni.
Okay.
So that's how I kind of got in.
All right. Nice.
Yeah, because he's a really big part of their crew now. So when they were looking for someone, he's the one who hit me up. He was like, "Hey, like I know that you've been trying like for like 2 years now, like, but now we have a position for you. Like, do you want to do it?" And of course, I took the offer. So it was a crazy experience because at the same time I was PCN coordinator.
Okay. How were you also president?
I was president this past semester.
Okay.
Fall. Yeah.
How do you balance? Because I know off top that if you're involved in PCN, regardless of what it is, that consists of late nights.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get tickling injuries.
Yeah, definitely.
Like just dedication for how long? 2-3 months.
Yeah. Well,
And-
yeah.
And
3 or 4 months.
towards the end, towards like up until showtime, you're practicing a lot more. You're staying out a lot more. How are you able to balance school? How many units were you taking at the time?
I was okay. So the semester prior, I loaded up all my units.
And
So I
16?
took 21.
You 21?
Yeah, because I took the max here 16, and then I took 2 extra classes at community college.
And that's when you were PCN?
During I was PCN coordinator, but in the fall rather than the spring.
21 you how why?
Well, yeah. So that's what I did. I took the 21 units in the fall so that in the spring, when it was time to like do practices and stuff, that I could only take 9 units.
Oh, you're smart.
Yeah.
That's
so
smart.
yeah.
That's
So
really smart.
so it was still a crazy schedule because I didn't know that I was gonna start working for Wong Fu when I decided to be PCN coordinator. So when the spring semester started, that's when it got really crazy because even though I was taking 9 units, I would go to class from like 8 to 11. I had work at Wong Fu in the office in Pasadena, which is like a 40-minute drive from here.
With traffic, without traffic?
Without traffic, yeah.
Without traffic.
From 12 to 4, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And PCN practice is basically every day.
Oh, yeah.
So class, work from 12 to 4, and then practice starts at 5.
Till like what, 12?
Till like 11 or 12, yeah. So I basically wasn't home the whole semester.
Now, that is such a stressful and hectic schedule. I mean, it's great. 9 classes, 9 units, 3 classes?
3 classes, yeah.
Hopefully they're easy classes?
They were easy, yeah, and 1 was online, so only 2 classes that were.
But still,
physical, yeah.
how are you able to balance all that and do a successful job? Obviously a successful job because PCN turned out well and you stayed at Wong Fu. How are you able to do that?
Honestly, like when I look back at it now, and I tell people that, like, I honestly, like, I'm a very organized person, but even an organized person, like, that's still freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Cause like, I literally wasn't home like the whole spring, like semester.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just to sleep, huh?
yeah, just to sleep basically. So I think for me it was just like a lot of pre-planning and a lot of just like getting work done just right away was really vital. Because if I like missed something, or if I was like late on something, or just didn't remember something, that would like fuck up everything. Because it's just like, there's so much going on.
This is so off topic, man. I am a very messy person. I think my my room being messy is giving me anxiety, but like I don't find time to like clean my room. I just feel like, well, it's similar, not like similar, but like, you know, yesterday I was, you know, I did 2 interviews. I went home to do laundry. I, you know, took the bus and rode my bike. I don't have time to clean my room.
Yeah.
How do you, any advice on like how to clean properly, like, or not clean properly, but how to like manage?
Yeah. So I think like cleaning and like organizing is very difficult for a lot of people
Mhm.
because it's hard to start because
Yeah.
like it seems like there's like where do you start, right? Like
Right.
like there's so many things to do. But for me, if you kind of just push yourself to just do like that one thing, where like you know like it could be like a small thing, then like you know at least like you're lessening like the blow and like the
Right.
things that you have to do. So like I think just for me like just start on like whatever you have to do.
Okay.
Like even if it's as simple as like cleaning your room, like you know just start like with something small and like organize like whatever you have to and like
Okay.
you know like as time goes like it'll your life will feel a lot cleaner.
It made me realize I was looking at your stuff. Are you part of Passion Planner?
I worked for Passion Planner.
You were, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they sent me to the Philippines to do
Okay.
a documentary. Yeah.
Okay. Bookmark that. We got to talk about. Oh man, that's really good. That's a good segue. Wong Fu Productions. So, what did you do there?
Yeah, so I was their post-production editor. So I would basically, they have a second channel called More Wong Fu, and they do segments called Lunch Break, where they talk about different topics, relationship advice, anything really they talk about on their second channel. So I edited that segment for them. I did a couple, like, I think like 8 videos that went up on their channel.
Okay.
So it was really cool. It was a pretty big role to go into, and I had to learn. They're very fast paced, so I had to learn really quickly, or else like I probably would have lost my job. That was really it was stressful at first because like I was PCN coach, so like I was focusing on that. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I have to learn like how their workflow goes because their style is very specific. Like it has to be a certain way in order for them to post it like on their channels. So I like had to like basically study like their past like work and like make sure that like I'm sticking to how they make their stuff because they also have like a PR team that like checks everything and like make sure that like they're sticking to their brand. So I've never had to do that for a company that big, so it was overwhelming at first, but once I got the hang of it, I was like, okay, I was cranking out videos like weekly.
Oh wow. Okay. With recent releases like Crazy Rich Asian and just seeing more prominence of Asian Americans in media, yeah, tell us about like the state of AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islander representation in mainstream media now.
Yeah.
Like being that you are you do film and you're in that industry. What have you seen in the past few years?
Yeah, so
Maybe even like from when you started watching Wong Fu to now.
yeah. Yeah, so there's definitely a big progression, which is exciting for the industry in all media platforms, not just YouTube anymore.
Right.
Because before it was just YouTube. Like Asian American creatives had to use YouTube as like a platform because there was no other platform to use. So it's really cool that big companies now are obviously taking notice to Asian stories. Obviously, we've seen the biggest one right now is Crazy Rich Asians, which is like making so much history with everything. And that I don't know if you saw when it first came out and people started watching it, kind of backlash from like the Filipino community.
Yeah. Someone brought up that to me yesterday. How a lot of maids, Filipino maids, in Singapore. I didn't know there was a big backlash in the Filipino community. I knew there was a big backlash for like Asians with darker skin color and just raising the racist history in Singapore with like, Muslims.
Mm.
So that's what I knew, but I wasn't aware there was a big backlash in the Filipino community.
Yeah, there was. So for me personally, I wasn't offended by the movie at all. I loved Crazy Rich Asians. I thought it was very culturally accurate. I thought it was accurate to the story and like the characters and everything. But yeah, like there wasn't. I wouldn't call it huge backlash, but there was backlash. Just because like a lot of Filipinos like, I understand because we're still waiting for like our story to be told too,
Yeah.
like our main stories to be told, which is a big reason why I'm a filmmaker. Like I want to see that one day and like hopefully write and direct something like that. But I think it's still a victory for all APIs and all AAPI creatives and everything. Just because like even though it's a Chinese American story, like and a Chinese Malaysian story, like it still helps all of us and in the industry, and it makes us more acceptable to everyone like that isn't
Right.
like the color of our skin.
Yeah.
So it's a great stepping stone because like there's still a lot of work to do.
Definitely.
There's still a lot of stories out there that need to be told.
Yeah.
But for me, like I'm glad that I'm part of this generation that could further what they've started for us.
Yeah, I mean, even the music aspect, same thing. You see
Yeah,
a lot
definitely.
of Asian artists, Stupid Young being a big one.
Yeah, Stupid Young's really big now.
88 Rising, I mean,
They're huge
they've
now.
been
Yeah.
huge. But I totally agree. With Asian, I feel bad. I still haven't seen Crazy Rich Asians. I heard it's really good.
Yeah.
My parents or my mom says it's good. My grandma says it's good. There's definitely, what I told this person was, yes, there are definitely flaws to it. The Crazy Rich Asian experience it's not for all Asians. It's a small part, and I think where the problem is when people just assume, oh, you must be rich because you're Asian. That's when it becomes the issue. When it's definitely like the elite Asian American or elite Singaporeans or Asians. With that said, though, it's big in a sense because in 25 years have we seen an all Asian American cast?
Yeah, definitely.
Director, I believe, is Asian as well.
Mhm.
So it's definitely a big stepping stone, like you said. I'm hoping, like you're hoping, that it will lead to future cast members and future stories done by Asian Americans.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember one of the early movies I saw when I came to America was Hook, Rufio.
Mm.
Man, I was like, wow, that kid looks like me. Like,
Yeah.
Is he really Filipino? I haven't seen too many of that since. Now, I know there's different sitcoms now. I mean, Fresh Off the Boat, Kim's. I haven't seen Kim's or Fresh Off the Boat. I've seen segments.
Kim's Convenience is really good.
Kim's Convenience, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard good things.
Yeah, it's a really dope show.
I heard it talks about immigration story, but in depth,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got the Time Stone. I don't know if you watch Marvel.
Yeah.
Time Stone, go back in time. You were saying that you used to work for Passion Planner. First, not even sponsored. What is a Passion Planner?
Yeah, so Passion Planner, first of all, Passion Planner started with a Filipino American.
Really?
Her name's Angel Trinidad.
No way.
Yeah, when she told me this story, I was blown away when I first met her. She started Passion Planner when she was 20 years old. She started it on Kickstarter, and when it went live, she slept on it, woke up, she already made like $1 million on Kickstarter.
What is a Passion Planner?
Yeah,
it's
so-
just, I mean,
It's an
a
academic
planner.
it's an academic planner that helps you like organize your life, but it's so well done and so well formatted that it makes it really easy to just like write down like what you have to do for the day, all that stuff. It's more for like the like if you're a person that needs like the aesthetics of it to like inspire you to like write something down, then that's what it's for, because it's like really well organized. Like it formats everything like like for time of day and everything, and it has calendars and everything. But also, it's called a passion planner because there's after every month or so, there's these things called like passion roadmaps and like stuff like that, where you could like it asks you like reflection basically, like what did you do during the month, like what can you work on, like what can you improve, and then like different like brainstorming techniques that are like in like the passion planner. And I guess that's what makes it unique, and that's why people like it, is
Yeah.
because it's really cheap and affordable too. It's like $10,
Really?
$15, yeah.
Wow.
So
Oh wow.
sometimes she even gives it up like for free.
Yo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's like free sales that she does.
There's
which is
a-
crazy.
I'm kind of interested now because I live a messy life, and there's always that stigma that, oh, you're creative, you can be messy, but damn, it's taking a toll. Like sometimes my room gets so messy that I don't want to touch it.
Yeah, I get you.
But I think, you know, having a clean room, it's not your place to live. It's so supposed to be clean, and that will like give off some good energy, higher vibrations, higher
Yeah.
energy. I'm gonna talk to you after this. I gotta try to get me a passion plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right. So they took you. Did they pay for your trip?
They paid for everything.
They paid for your
So-
trip to go from here to the Philippines.
Yeah, so Passion Planner, they were on their Facebook page. They were advertising this documentary, this feature documentary that they were gonna do, and they were saying like, yeah, like we're gonna pitch it to like Netflix and everything. Like we're looking to crew up. So like they're looking for production assistants, sound people, cinematographers, all that stuff. So I just applied. I didn't know any of them. I knew who they were, but I just applied, and then I got an email back saying that I got it. So I didn't know that everything was gonna be paid for, including having a day rate. So everything was paid for. Our hotels, or not hotels, but we stayed in Airbnbs, homes, and like that was paid for. Our flights were paid for, and then on top of that, we were also paid like for doing our job.
Wow.
Like every day. So that was the most I've ever gotten like paid, or like it was the most professional gig I've ever gotten, I guess you could say. Yeah.
If they need a podcast host, let me
Yeah.
know. Let me know.
Honestly, Angel would probably be down. Like she lives in San Diego, but she's down here a lot.
Yeah. I mean, awesome. Okay, so back to that. So they paid for your trip. Where did you stay in the Philippines?
Yeah, so we were in Palawan,
Okay.
Popular
Popular tourist.
Puerto Princesa. So not close to El Nido, or like where people like the resort
Oh, okay,
area. We
okay.
weren't there. We were more in the poverty-stricken area,
Okay.
which was this for me. It was crazy because this was the first time I've ever been to the Philippines.
Oh wow. Okay.
And like I was really excited, obviously, but also very nervous just because like just of the culture shock.
Right.
Just because like I've never been to
Right, of
a
course.
third world country.
Yeah.
But I loved it from right off the bat. I loved being there. I loved the culture, obviously, and like just how different it is there. It really opens your eyes to like, wow, like we're really like blessed to
Yeah.
like live the way we do.
Yeah, I mean, it really makes you consider the sacrifices that your family, maybe not your mom and dad, but like, you know, the ones before them.
Yeah, definitely.
What they had to do to get here.
Yeah.
You know, the long hours, you know, to make it out. I went back in 2017, January. First time since 1999.
Oh wow.
So essentially, it's like my first
time basically, yeah.
And, you know, I was born in the Philippines, went back in 97. No, yeah, last time I was there was 97. Was it 20 years? I'm bad at math.
About
Lot.
almost 20 years, yeah.
A lot's changed, and, you know, you get this very humbling feeling that, you know, we're very blessed. So very fortunate,
Yeah.
and, you know, from what I saw, people with smiles on their faces. Sure, it doesn't. It's a very. There's more to it. I'm sure there's definitely like
Yeah.
issues in the Philippines, but from what I saw, from physical view, people were smiling, happy. You know, it just makes you think, like, damn, like it feels great. You know, it feels good to be kind of back home, and I didn't feel like a minority there.
Yeah.
Everyone not looks similar to me, but you know, I felt like I could kind of blend in. I felt like I'm blend in when they can spot you out that you're an American.
Yeah. It's very humbling. Like,
Yeah.
definitely, and like that's a big reason why I did the photos.
Mhm.
Like I took the photos that went viral
Okay.
because like when I saw that, like how like people were like sleeping like in the market, like, and like I don't know how much you read about like the photos I took, but like basically like what I was saying, like with the photos, like a big reason why I took it was because like a lot of people think like, you know, Filipinos are like lazy because of it, like because of like people like sleeping like on the job or whatever. But it's actually because they are always working. They're working
Right.
24/7 to like make a living and everything. So that's why like they have to like sleep like at the market
Right.
when they can, like on the tables and everything, because like that's their home. Like
Right.
that is their home. They don't go home because that is their home. So it's just like it's a very sad thing, but it also shows that Filipinos are very hardworking, and they're like you said, like everyone always has a smile on their face no matter what, and it kind of shows you that like Filipinos, like no matter what they have or like where they come from or like, you know, whether you're rich or poor, like they make the most of what they have. So
Yeah.
it's very beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I read the article. I'm like, damn. I didn't even think people thought Filipinos were lazy because damn near here, hell no.
Yeah.
All of them are nurses. A lot of them are nurses.
Mhm.
Sure, they work those 3 days a week, but those are 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
Half-hour breaks, providing for their family. It's a very, it's a very honorable thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see. So, how did they go viral? Just like you posted it and it's like gain a lot of traction.
Yeah, basically, because I post a lot on Twitter.
Okay.
That's my main
Same thing.
social
Okay.
media. Like
Okay.
I love just posting on there. So like I literally just posted on it with like the caption, like it's just talking about like Filipinos not being lazy, and then it just went like I posted it like before I fell asleep, and then when I woke up, it just blew
Oh
up.
my goodness.
And like the crazy thing is that a lot of Nextshark wasn't the only article that wrote something on me. There was other like accounts that were like Instagram accounts, like Instagram news that were like doing it. And like the crazy thing was like I didn't even know this was happening. Like people had to like tag me to tell me like, yo, like you're on this article, you're on this article. I'm like, whoa, like this is cool, but like I didn't even give consent to like
Yeah, how does that work? I mean, I guess
like
you
I
know-
guess it's because it's public. Like I posted on Twitter.
Right.
That's why like they're able to do that. So I understood that. It's just crazy to like wake up and be like, whoa, like I went viral.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
and not in like a bad way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that. No, it's trippy, man. How I'm scrolling through Asian Creative Network. Shouts out Asian Creative Network
Yes.
Facebook group.
Yes.
I'm scrolling, man. I'm scrolling, and there's not too many of us in the valley. A lot of them.
No,
are,
a lot of
them are. UCLA area.
Yeah.
A lot of them, surprisingly, are in other states where there's not too many
Mhm.
Asian Americans.
Yeah. And even if they're from LA, a lot of them like have moved from another
Yeah.
state to LA.
Then I saw you. I'm like, whoa, that's dumb. That's C-Sun Fawcett dumb. That's C-Sun Fawcett dumb. I tried to get a podcast a while back, but
Yeah, yeah.
schedules
Scheduling,
conflicted.
yeah.
I'm like, yo, that's something. And you got a bunch of likes.
Yeah.
So wow, yeah, I saw them. Yo, I gotta hit you up again. But that's awesome, man. I mean,
Yeah, that was really cool.
I really think that's great. Filipinos are very hardworking, and rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain.
Mhm.
He did justice when he
Went to the Philippines.
or just in general. He's one of the few that I felt didn't exploit or just came off
Yeah.
as, being like a culture vulture of that nature. Very humbling, and what he said about the Philippines, man, like when he passed, so many Filipinos were so sad. Like he repped us, he repped us right.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, like the first thing I saw from him was the Philippines episode from his show.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so I was like, when he went like during the Christmas time.
Oh
everything.
yeah.
What I love about his show is that he doesn't even start off with food. Like he starts off with like talking about like the people
Mhm.
and like the culture and everything, because like Christmas is like super huge in the Philippines.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that New Year's,
Yeah.
bro, it's a party for sure.
Yeah. So like he was like super like welcoming, and like people like when he like passed by people and everything, like he was really like genuine
Yeah.
about like our like knowing about more about like the Filipino like culture and everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, Ralph earlier or yesterday was calling him Uncle Tony. Damn,
Yeah.
dude. Call him Uncle Tony. That's awesome. But yeah, man. I mean, I think that's great. Let's see. So, are you what can you tell me about living on one?
Yeah, so Living on One was actually my first internship that I ever did,
Oh, okay.
straight out of high school.
Wow, internship
Yeah.
out of high school.
Yeah, so
That's
I
great.
really like, so I really wanted to like, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I got like out of high school was, you know, as soon as like you're done, like, just try to get an internship like right away, if you can, just so that like you could start already and like get more experience.
Damn.
Because like, yeah, like Living on One is basically a production company that
Right.
does like documentaries.
Mhm.
Their big one that like that got popular was called Living on $1,
Right.
where they went to, I think, Guam, and they basically they challenged themselves to go to Guam and live on $1 a day.
How much does dollar translate to Guam?
I think it's I forgot, but it wasn't much. It basically just gets you like a meal or something.
Mhm.
But basically, what their goal was to see like how to simulate how it is to live in somewhere that is like poverty stricken.
Right, right.
So that got really big, and when I saw that, the reason why I knew about them was because they went on tour to screen their film, and they stopped by my high school to screen it.
St. John?
Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, because at this time I was like super into film already. So I was like, wow, like that's really dope. And then that summer they were looking for interns for their next film that was going to be on Netflix. And I was like, I want to get like a part of that, because like, you know, like if they need like a production assistant or an intern, like that's where you start. So because they knew me already from St. John's, they kind of favored me. So they hired me to do it. And the documentary is called Salam Neighbor. It's still on Netflix right now, actually.
Oh wow.
And if you like scroll through the credits, like my name's there for production assistant.
That's awesome.
Which is really cool, because like I'm literally I was a high school kid
Wow.
with like a Netflix credit, and I was like,
That's dope.
dude, that's
IBGM.
freaking dope. Yeah.
What does a production assistant do?
Yeah. So production assistant / like interns kind of do the same thing, where you kind of just do whatever is needed for the
Okay.
production. Like, so for higher end productions, it could range from like just getting food and like doing runs for people. Obviously, like they'll give you money to do it. Like I've done that before, being a runner basically. But also there's other productions that are like more close knit and like smaller, where a production assistant does a lot, where like they help with like taking the camera around, like carrying the camera, or like swapping out the lenses or stuff like that. Like small things that like people tell you to do, like you just help out with.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. All right, I think that concludes our interview. Do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple shout-outs. I mean, yeah. Well, first, shout out to Asian Creative Network, just because that was a really big thing for me. Like, it opened up a lot for me as a creative, and like, I met a lot of people already. Like off that, just that
Yeah.
one post, like people started following me, and like they're like, "Yo, I want to help out with like whatever you got going on." Also, shout out to, we didn't get to talk about this, but shout out to my In the Valley cast and crew.
Okay.
It's basically a series that I'm doing.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm doing we're filming again in February.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
we got
So
time.
So In the Valley is basically a series that I'm doing that's going to be posted on YouTube, and we're trying to get other production companies involved with like producing it. But it's basically my biggest project that I've ever done.
Okay.
With like a big crew and like cast. So it's basically 7 episodes about being Filipino American, growing up in the Valley,
Mhm.
which is why it's called that, and like kind of like navigating your way out of high school and transitioning into college and trying to find what you want to do
Mhm.
when you don't want to be like a nurse or
Right.
whatever.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, if it's all Filipino, it should be in the valley. Like instead of
We should have done that.
in the valley.
Yeah.
In the valley, huh?
But yeah, But yeah, I mean, also just like shout out to, you know, thank you for having me
No problem.
on
Glad
this
you're here.
podcast, the vodcast.
Yeah,
show.
no problem.
I've watched a couple because like I have a lot of friends that have done this already.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me.
No
on
problem,
this.
of course.
Yeah.
Do you have any future involvement with PCN? Are you gonna do writing or?
So this upcoming one, Charlene's now the PCN coordinator.
Ooh,
Yeah. So
and
shout out to
Hey.
Charlene. Yeah.
Hey, big shout out to Charlene because
Yeah.
she told me about you like when she did her podcast. And okay, I got this Dom guy. Oh wow, okay. So shouts out to you, Charlene. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for taking your time out to do that one podcast. That was actually one of the higher viewed ones. Like,
Yeah.
dude, that was like that podcast. Like, that was viewed a lot. I mean, I don't get too many views, but like I was like, oh shit, this got like it was substantially a lot higher.
Yeah.
The podcast, the iTunes stuff, like the download streaming stuff, and the YouTube video. So, thank you. Maybe I should start filming FOSTA people because whenever I get FOSTA people, there'll be a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like a lot of support.
We'll get a lot. Yeah, you get a lot of support
Yeah.
if you get lots of people.
It's fucking FOSTA podcast.
Yeah, for real.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, shouts out to that. All right, man. Where can we find you online?
Yeah, so I'm basically on every social media platform, so you can find me. My Twitter and Instagram handle is the same, at the Domba, so TheDomba.
Gotcha.
Yeah, mostly Instagram and Twitter is where you can find me, but also I have my own website that has all my content and everything that I've ever created.
Okay.
It's DominicArgana.weebly.com. So that's basically my portfolio. So
Professional. Went from Dominic Argana.
yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. The award goes to Dominic Argana. It's pretty legit. All right, thank you, man.
Yeah, of course.